Welcome to Storytime with Mama V. I'm your host, Victoria, but you can call me Mama V. In this show, we go on storytime adventures where magic exists, where brave knights and courageous princesses come out to play, and where the good always defies evil. Now, get comfy, because storytime is about to begin. Hello, and welcome to Storytime with Mama V. I am so excited to read to you today. Today we're reading Petunia the Perfectionist, written by Marissa Bader. Now, I've read other books of Marissa's on the show, and I will link those in the show notes description. But for today, let's get right into Petunia the Perfectionist. Let's go. The idea of coloring outside the lines made Petunia panic. Her stomach filled with butterflies as she thought of getting an answer wrong on a test. Stacking her books out of alphabetical order? Never. If there was one thing Petunia knew, it was the importance of being perfect. Rather than drawing with her crayons, she made sure each one was exactly where it belonged in her crayon box. And whenever her brother Bruce asked if she wanted to ride bikes, Petunia turned him down to practice guitar until her fingers prickled. At school, instead of playing with her friends at recess, she took her books to the library to study. Petunia was so focused on being perfect that there was no time left in her life for much else. One day, as Petunia was carefully rinsing off her paintbrushes in art class, she overheard two of her classmates talking. "Let's ask Petunia to paint with us," Bryn asked. "No way," replied Anna. "Petunia the Perfectionist would never let herself get messy." Petunia didn't know what a perfectionist was, so she decided to look it up. Petunia thought, that does sound like me. I'm Petunia the Perfectionist. Perfectionist, a person who refuses to accept any standard short of perfection. She couldn't wait to tell her mom her new nickname when she got home from school. Petunia's mom frowned when she heard it. "You know," she told Petunia, "being a perfectionist can be a good thing sometimes, but nobody's perfect all the time. Mistakes are a good thing. They help us learn. In fact, every time we make a mistake, our brains grow." Petunia nodded, pretending to agree, but deep down, she knew better. Petunia promised her mom she'd think about it, and then went back to trying to be perfect. A few days later, Petunia was in her room practicing guitar when her mom called her down for dinner. "Petunia, time for dinner. Come on down, sweetheart." Petunia ignored the call. She had a big concert coming up and wanted to play perfectly. Worried by the silence, Petunia's mom went up to her room to check on her. "Sorry, Mom," she said. "Can you save me dinner for later? I have to keep practicing until this song sounds perfect. I don't want to make any mistakes, like Britta did in ballet when her toe wasn't perfectly pointed, or when Milton answered a math problem wrong in class." "Oh, Petunia," her mom said, "do you think it's possible that your friends learn something from their mistakes?" Petunia thought about Britta carefully, pointing her toe at their next ballet practice. Then she remembered that Milton wasn't the only one who didn't understand the math problem, and his wrong answer led their teacher to explain it in a clearer way. "Yeah," Petunia finally answered. "I bet they did." "I agree," said her mom. "And, Petunia, do you think any less of your friends for making those mistakes?" Petunia looked up at her mom with widened eyes. "Of course not," she exclaimed. "Good," said her mom, hugging Petunia tightly. "Now I want you to extend that same love and compassion to yourself. Nobody expects you to be perfect, Petunia. We love you for who you are, all of you, even your mistakes." Petunia was still thinking about what her mom said the next day at her guitar lesson. She was so focused on her mom's advice that she didn't notice her fingers slipping until it was too late. Screeching sound echoed through the room. Petunia froze, and her face flushed red with embarrassment. She stared down at her hands, trying to fight back the tears. "Bravo, Petunia!" Miss Hill cheered, clapping thunderously. "That was simply beautiful. I know those weren't the notes written in your music book, but you just created a brand new sound. How wonderfully inventive." Petunia couldn't believe her guitar teacher was proud of her for making a mistake. Then she noticed her friend Abigail and Henry smiling at her. "Petunia, that sound you made with your guitar was awesome," Henry said. "Yes, I loved it," chimed Abigail. "Miss Hill, isn't it better to play the music perfectly?" Petunia questioned. Petunia, you know that sound your guitar makes when its strings are too tight?" Petunia nodded. "An ugly ping sound." "Exactly," Miss Hill responded enthusiastically. "But when we loosen the strings a bit, what happens?" "We can make beautiful music," Petunia answered confidently. "Yes," Miss Hill said. "When we try too hard to be perfect, it's like our strings are pulled too tight. But if we loosen our strings, Petunia, we can make beautiful music." For the first time, Petunia felt proud of herself for being imperfect. "I have an idea," Miss Hill continued. "Today, instead of trying to play the notes on the page, let's make our own music." That night, after dinner, Petunia told her family all about her guitar lesson. "We made lots of mistakes and some chords sounded way off, but we kept trying," said Petunia. "We even created a brand new song that we're going to play at our concert." Then Petunia proudly pronounced that she was no longer Petunia the Perfectionist. "From now on, I'm just Petunia," she announced. Make that Petunia the Perfectly Imperfect. But that's okay, because I love myself for who I am, mistakes and all. Wonderful story, everyone. I was flipping the pages because I was in anticipation of finding out how things are working out for Petunia. Thank you so much for listening in today. Listen, I often say this on the show. Children's books are great lessons for kids and grown-ups alike. So for all the grown-ups that are playing these stories for their kiddos in your cars at bedtime, make sure you pay a special attention to Petunia the Perfectionist, especially if you are a self-claimed perfectionist yourself. Mistakes happen and mistakes are okay, and they're opportunities for growth and learning and creating something beautiful. Thanks again for listening in, and I will see you on the next episode of Storytime with Mama V. Bye for now.